Welcome to Tell Me Who You Really Are, the podcast that cuts through the noise to uncover what it truly means to be human. Here, we don't hold back. Whether you're a familiar face or an everyday person, this is where we get real about what's truly going on in your life and, more importantly, how you can break free from the barriers holding you back. I'm Jo Emerson, one of the UK's top coaches, and in each episode, you will get to listen as I coach my guests in real time, peeling back the layers of fear, frustration, and self-doubt. These are raw, honest, and sometimes painful conversations, but they're also hugely empowering. If you are ready to see what's possible when you stop hiding and start living, then you are in the right place. Today we're listening to my conversation with Sarah as she explores the impact motherhood has had on her self-esteem and her career. Trained, as many women are, to put others first, she now finds herself with an increasingly empty nest, time to spend on creative projects, but a part of her that seems to be sabotaging this. She has a novel to write, but a mind full of limiting beliefs that stop her being able to sit down and actually write. With themes of codependency, empty nest, and conflicting priorities, this conversation challenges the validity of the shoulds we all live by and shows us what happens when we start to see ourselves and our time in a new light. So, Sarah, welcome. And my first question for you is for you to tell me what it is you would like to work on with me today.
Thanks, Jo. I probably think that it's the confidence of looking at mindset, habits to support sort of like my creative self that I think I have put on the back burner for a long, long time.
Okay, creative self. I'm just making a note here. So the confidence, mindset, habits to support your creative self that's not been apparent, not been used. Tell me what's been hampered. What's been hampered?
I've always really enjoyed being very, very creative. That was part of my degree. I did a degree back in the day of drama theatre, community arts, which I loved. Not so much of being a performer, but very much, that was all about my life, really. Making videos, community-based videos. And then I went into, you fall down another path, don't you, when you're coming out of your early 20s and you're navigating your way. So I fell down the path of youth and community work, and then subsequently residential social work, and then working with children and families, which is what I still do, of which I love. So there's that one aspect. I really, really love that. Helping people, being of service and helping people help themselves.
Lovely.
Loved that. And that's where I'm at the moment. So I work for children's services within local authority, have done for a while, quite experienced and knowledgeable with that. I coach children and young people and parents, and I also coach some workforce employees as part of that little training cohort group. And I love that. I love helping people. What I'm not really good at is helping myself and figuring things out for myself. And I think that's where I'm up to at the moment. So I've always had a real yearning that I'm not fulfilling other things. So even though I have a great life, I just still have this yearning that there's something there that I'm just not touching on. And why is that? And I think at the moment, it's a really, really good time in my life because I'm seeing this as a real positive. Lots of jobs in my sector are going to be cut. So this has happened before. So this is about my third time of going into this process. It is what it is for me, really. It could be an opportunity. I've got no pressure to go either way, really. But I feel as if now it's made me rethink that this is the time that I need to start maybe just planning a little thing, little things for me to focus on regarding my creative life and what that looks like.
Right. So, if are you saying that you're facing a possible redundancy, or that you might go for voluntary redundancy? Is that where you find yourself?
Could potentially be, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And so financially, would you need to earn like a full salary from the creative? So would this be a second career, or would you? Sorry to ask such a
I
personal
would
question, but
see it.
would you then
Yeah, no,
would you
that's
be okay financially in order to be able to just be a bit freer in your decisions going forwards?
no. My decisions really are going to go for one of the jobs. So I'm very much, I will go for one of the jobs, and I need to financially for the next couple of years, as part of my plan. And if I don't get one of those particular roles, there are other opportunities, that they have to redeploy you into another, so that's my plan really at the moment. I'm not at that stage of just totally off-roading and going into a very
Mm,
different career path. So I
right.
would still
Okay.
like to do, the coaching side of things that I really love, but also as well, just free up a little bit of headspace to just refigure other things that I,
Yeah.
want to do.
You talked about this yearning
Mm,
you have, um, and you talked about it in the context of something more creative than what you currently do at work. Even though I hear you loud and clear that you love what you do, but that it seems that you're yearning for something that's missing. And I'm wondering if we were to fulfill that yearning, what do you think you'd feel? What would it give you to fulfill that yearning?
I think more personal satisfaction and fulfillment and joy. I think joy, because I deal with helping people through quite challenging, chaotic times, crisis times. And, some of those as well are replicated. I've got two older young adults as children, of which have those, those issues as well. So sometimes it feels like there is no let up in, when you get to a certain time of life where you're containing quite a lot of people, emotionally
Yeah,
containing
I hear
everybody
you.
else except for yourself.
I
So
hear
I
you.
think very much the yearning would bring me a little bit of, I think, personal satisfaction very much. I don't know, maybe that's just a real internal script I've got going on there, that I've not achieved what I'd want to achieve. But then I'm not entirely sure what it is that I want to achieve either. So I feel a bit jumbled and a bit muddled.
So we've talked about a few things. We've talked about that there's this. We've also said that you've also said to me that you maybe it's some headspace that you need, some time to rethink. You've also talked about needing something for you, because you're at the stage of life very similar to me, where we're doing a lot of giving. I mean, once we become mothers, it's all about the giving, right? But we've often got elderly relatives as well needing our support emotionally. I think teenagers and people in their 20s need us as mothers in a very different way to maybe how they needed us when they were younger. So it's not
Mm,
so much the physical exhaustion, it can be an emotional exhaustion. And then if you're in a giving role at work, again, very similar
yeah,
to me, um, we can feel quite exhausted
yes,
sometimes. Um, but you've also said about this the creative part of you being hampered,
but that you need to keep working probably full time for a while. Are we talking about you bringing your creativity into your job? Are we talking about you finding something like as a more of a hobby for you to be working on? Are we talking about you possibly creating something for the next couple of years when you do decide to leave your job? Or is it all of those? I'm just trying to see where this
Yeah.
creativity could fit in.
So all of those, Joe, all of those. And I think what I've learned, so I've always thought how I could make my job a little bit more creative and fulfill that side of things, and also be quite practical and useful. You know, sort of like sharing resources, whether that would be more of a hands-on blog or something quite practical that people could take away. The issue around that, I think, is so I think with my job, the current situation is that after the day, I'm absolutely physically, mentally spent.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm mentally spent, so I've not. So those ideas have always been rattling around. I've jotted them down. Nothing's really come of them, and then I get really frustrated because then I pick up a book or I pick up, I link in with an email, a website, and it's already done. My idea is there. That makes me quite frustrated. It's already been produced.
Tell me what these things are that get in the way. What do you prioritize over your creative self?
Everything, absolutely everything and everyone. So
So
I must
work?
admit, right, work. Well, I can get involved. I can get involved in other people's issues and other people's dramas and help other people out and think that I can do that. And I probably do that more as well at home in my home life.
Okay. Give me an example.
So I've got a daughter who's 24 with most likely ADHD,
Okay.
and who has quite a lot of sensory and anxiety based sort of like issues that she struggles with. And obviously coming back from uni post COVID, missing quite a bit of that, is quite it's been a big difficult thing for us all to navigate, really. She just wants to be quite independent and is finding at the moment, that there's lots of challenges there. So yes, that's a big factor, really. And like you said, elderly.
How does sorry, I was just going to say, how does her stuff pull you away from time for you? Is it that you don't have the headspace for time for you, or are you spending a lot of time talking to her, helping her, working things out with her?
Yes, yeah. I think a bit of both. Yes, yeah. I think as well because I'm quite well versed. This is what I do day in, day out, and I work with children and I work with adults potentially, with similar challenges. So yeah, I just kind of, it's like one of those vociferous weeds that just take over your garden.
Yeah, yeah. Except you're allowing them to.
I am.
And sometimes we have to do some weeding. And I'm wondering whether, again, I get this because I'm a mother too, and I'm a daughter too, that women, not exclusively women, but but a lot of the time women, we feel like our value, certainly women of our generation, we feel like, because we've been trained to believe that our value is in how kind we are, how amenable we are, how much we give to other people. And and I need to qualify that by saying that there is a huge amount of joy in giving to other people, and to not give to another human being would be an inhuman state to be in, I think. So, but I think a lot of us have to learn how to get that into balance, because it can be quite, I suppose addictive is the right word. That sense of I'm needed, I'm helpful, I'm doing a nice thing. People say, "Oh, Sarah's so lovely. She does everything for everyone else." But that means if we're not giving any time to ourselves, that's it's a vicious circle that ends up getting smaller and smaller and tighter
Mm.
until the real us, the authentic part of us, in your case the creative part of you, is screaming for an outlet.
Mm. Yeah,
Is that fair?
it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the thing with our children is because so when they're like in our bodies, they've literally got us 24/7, access to mum 24/7, and mum's liver and mum's kidneys and mum's heart and all the rest of it. And then they come out of us, and quite frankly, it feels like they've got even more access to us because they cry a lot, and we're constantly with them. And it can be, again, it can be hard to kind of exit that role or reshape that role of being on tap for our children. So I had 3 on my own for a long time. I've got 5 now because I've got 2 stepsons, but I was with my girls alone for 6 years before I met my second husband. And I used to say to them, sometimes, I am not a vending machine. Because
Mm.
it felt like
Mm.
they were just constantly like tapping numbers and needing. And some of the times it was stuff they could do for themselves.
Mm.
And possibly because I was on my own and there was 3 of them, I just got to the point, like I was so overwhelmed
Mm.
that, I had to kind of, put some sort of boundaries in place of, I reckon you could work this out. Like go and try and work this out for
Mm.
yourself. Go and try and put your duvet cover on and come
Yeah.
back to me. You can help each other, Of course they could do it. And I'm wondering with your daughter and people at work, whether you've got stuck in that place of, I'm valuable because I'm helping other people.
Yes. I feel like that very much so. And I actually feel now, yeah, and I feel with the current work situation, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I've just said before, I've got financial, practical considerations there. It's not like a job I can walk away from or, at this moment in time, not for a good couple of years. But actually, I'm seeing it as an opportunity, a real change, a disruption. Sometimes you need a bit of a disruptor in life.
Mm.
And, equally as well, I'm saying that, I think my daughter as well is recognising, she's making active steps now to sort of like move out, which, I think we can't, I think that's a really, really positive move. So I see both of these two things being a really kind of poignant time, really, for me to get rid of that, what I've been carrying around about how I attach value to myself.
That need to be needed all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I have a friend who, a few years older than me, and she said that post-menopause, she said all those hormones had gone. She said, I realised what it was, how it felt to be like a man, to think like a man, which was, what do I need first? And then what do other people need? Which, again, I do not think all men think like that. For example, my husband is always thinking about everyone else and not himself. But again, hormonally, chemically, as women, especially as mothers, it's in the survival of the species for us to be putting everyone else's needs before our own. Otherwise, these little people would not survive. But there comes a time where that needs to shift. And then we have these chasms of time that we need to fill with other things. And that can be like really exciting, like it is for you, or really daunting. If someone, and often you'll find women with those chasms of time, adopting other children or fostering other children or saying, well, I'll be full-time granny or whatever. But for you, there's something creative that needs to come out.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Is it possible to get some time back from your daughter while she's still living at home? Is it possible for you to say, this is my time, I'm going to go and do some writing?
Yes, I mean, I think probably what I have to do is maybe physically leave the house. I quite like
Right.
working out of my car. I do that, sometimes in my work when I'm in between visits and whatnot. So I think physically not being here.
And what would you do if it wasn't your job and it wasn't helping her and helping an elderly parent or whatever? What would you do creatively? Would you do more writing?
I mean, I would. I'd love to do more writing. I'd love to do community arts. I would love to get involved in lots of really exciting, local projects. And it would still probably involve working with others in community and young people. That is something that I really love to do. I could fill my time. If someone said, if I wasn't working tomorrow, I could fill my time just with lots and lots of things. Work really gets in the way. But when I'm there, I do enjoy it. Yeah.
What would you fill it with? So let's say you're not working from tomorrow. Tell me what your first steps would be.
So I'd probably look at really spending a bit of time and just writing and just writing for fun, just writing my novel idea, just get that out on page, on a paper, just finish it, I think would be a really good momentous achievement for me.
Okay. Because it's interesting when you talk about the writing, it's interesting because a few times you've talked about the writing and then it's almost like you shut it down by saying and community arts and local projects. I could be wrong here, but I'm wondering whether the writing feels a little bit indulgent for you because
it does.
It's not
You've hit the nail on the head there. Absolutely.
Whether there's a part of you going, right, you've been serving your community for the entirety of your career, Sarah. It is okay. It is okay, more than okay, to spend some time writing a book for your own creative pleasure. That is all right. That is an okay thing to do. Are you all right?
Yeah, no, you.
Bless you. It's okay. Just stay with it.
I've got one. I don't know what made me upset then, actually. I think you've just hit the nail on the head about writing is indulgent. And that's the mindset I have with it. So I think in 2008, I entered a competition, which I won a competition.
What? You won a writing competition?
But then I totally demeaned it by saying, I think I said something like, well, there probably weren't that many entrants into the competition.
What a thing to say to yourself.
And then I didn't write again. Sorry, I'll be okay. I wasn't expecting that.
It's all right. I'm so used to, honestly, I'm so used to people crying.
I do have a very bizarre,
like you said.
Yeah, I think I do have the nail there is I have a very bizarre relationship with my conception of my relationship with writing.
Yeah, you do. You do, but we can change that. That could be changed. We talked you right at the top of the session. You talked about the confidence, mindset, and habits to support your creative self. And so we're into the mindset bit here and the confidence bit here,
Yes,
because
yes,
if you see yourself, if you see your role in life, your purpose in life, to be the machine the vending machine. Let's use my old example of the vending machine. If you see yourself as a vending machine, and it's good that you're a vending machine, and people can just come and ask for what they want, and you drop it down, it's going to be very difficult for you to see yourself in any other way. But writing writing is a very solitary, amazing. I wrote a novel last year. It was an amazing experience, absolutely amazing experience. Very solitary, and it does take us away from our families because we just need to bury ourselves in it. And then you come up out the other side, and then it's a gift to the world. That book is a gift to the world. Mine hasn't been published yet, but I'm wondering whether a balanced life for you is one in which you work and you also write.
And it's interesting, Jo, because I have got, I have got an opportunity for doing this, in so much as one of my reasons of just keeping, still applying for one of my job, for the job, is that, and as much as I probably had, maybe it's time for me to move away from that, but I potentially got a foot operation coming in September time, which will take me. I won't be able to do anything for 2 months.
Right.
And in my mind,
Andy,
I'm kind of thinking that's really, really brilliant for me. Bad in a lot of ways, but practical and doing things. But actually, it means that I could actually do my writing because there's nothing else that I'd be able to
handy.
do. Yes. So I have got that opportunity, but I kind of think I think I'm a bit worried that I'll just get sucked into the vortex again of, other people's drama and other people's issues rather than concentrate on that and let that slip again.
Do you think you need to do some work on your boundaries?
I think it's an ongoing process. I'd like to say that I do have quite strong boundaries, but then I think sometimes it's when you're in it yourself and you're confronted with a situation, to be that subjective, it's to be that objective is quite difficult, isn't it? Like yesterday, I drew up boundaries yesterday. That was quite emotionally draining, but I had to draw them up in a family situation, in a family gathering, but that turned out okay. It wasn't particularly pleasant at the time, but
No, they never are they?
No,
never are.
It worked out okay. It worked fine.
But in terms of other people's dramas, that's where I'm thinking about the boundary thing, because you've mentioned other people's dramas and other people's stuff a couple of times. So I'm wondering whether the boundary is not so much, that the boundary there is maybe about you feeling like you really should go in and offer support and help.
Yes.
And whether
I
the
think
boundary
as well,
is
it's
more about
probably,
maybe sometimes other people can sort it out.
Well, I think things have happened over the last few years. Lots of things have happened all at once, really. I've got close friends, even my group of close friends have suffered real significant trauma. and, you know, certain family members, other family members, you know, significant trauma. So I think it's one of those things every now and again in your life. This is what happens, isn't it? Not that,
Yeah.
you know, but I kind of like feel, again, with sort of like aging, you know, like you were just saying before, you know, sort of like young people supporting, we're in the middle, and then older people, and then the surrounding net of people around you who are experiencing quite, you know, difficult things. I think it is a mindset, like you said, about just always being there or available. And I'm one of those people as well that I am very, very proactive in sustaining friendships and networks. You know, I quite like keeping that going. So I'll always, even if I am really, really busy or, you know, I've got a lot on, I will always put myself out there and get people together, you know, bring people together. That's just part of,
nice.
I think there is, it's probably taking, you know, a bit of a toll, really.
We can keep all of that. You can keep, well, you might not be able to keep it all to the level you're keeping it, but it is possible to, I think possibly you're doing it to such a degree that there is no time or mental headspace for you to even think about carving out space for writing. Whereas if we were to look at your diary, say, and work goes in there first, and, you know, sleep and eating and time with the kids and what have you, but time for writing goes in there as well.
Yeah.
And then whatever time you've got left outside of that is then available to other people, rather than the other way around, which is you've got work, other people, kids, then time for you and eating and stuff, and writing.
Yeah.
This one's just falling off because there's never enough time left for it. Whereas, you know, other people who came second, it sounds to me like they're coming a very high second. Yeah, other people, I'm including your family in there, right? So there's your work, and then there's other people, family and friends, and then there's you, and then there's your writing. These guys, you know, you're not the only one who can help them.
No.
There are other people who can help them. If they're hitting a crisis and it's your writing time, because we've actually shoved that one in there, it is all right to text them back and say, I've got 2 hours in my diary for writing today. I'll call you at 4 if it's a weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all right. It's okay to do that. There's other people who can help them. I think because you're so brilliant at helping people, you're the one they're going to call, and that's a really it's a privileged position to be in, to be the one that's trusted. I completely get that, but it doesn't have to be you every time.
No.
How does that feel,
right.
the thought of letting that go? No, but how does it feel, the thought of letting that go, of maybe not always being the one that people go to?
I've got an ambivalence there. There's parts of me that I'm quite okay with that, but then I kind of think there's the other side of it, that's probably what I've built my kind of persona on. You know, it's part of me, that part of my persona.
Yeah.
Of you know.
Yeah. There'll be a loss
being
there.
needed.
Of course there'll be a loss.
It would be.
Yeah.
And I think as well, going back to the writing side of it, that's what I really, really struggle with, of having that vision of a future self in that totally different area, space.
Of course.
So I'll probably always revert back to.
Yeah. But what if we created a few hours a week for that future self? And just for you to go and inhabit that space? Because you can't imagine it because you've never inhabited it.
No.
But if we were to give you a day a week or 8 hours a week that are broken up over over a series of slots, you might get into that space and think, I really love it here. You might get into that space like I did and think, like, this is amazing for a few months, and then I need to go back to my old life, and then I'll probably come back and do this again for a few months at some time in the future. And like, writing is not, there's so many different ways to be a writer.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways, unless you get a 5-book deal with Bloomsbury, and then you're going to have to just like write full time, and amazing. But you might find that, writing full time is also too much for you. That you may find that
Yeah.
creating this balanced life is what's going to work for you, or you dip in and out. But at the moment, you're not even giving yourself the chance to experience it. So how
No.
can you even visualize it? So what do you think, if we were just to think about finding some time? I know that your days, Monday to Friday, are probably, like you said, you're probably hanging at the end of
Yeah.
those because you've been giving. So would it be more of a weekend thing, this writing?
Possibly, but weekends are equally quite busy with a variety of things. I do try. I always start off with the weekend of trying to give myself a couple of hours. Sometimes that works, and then sometimes it does get hijacked. I would say this week it's probably got hijacked with one thing or another. It easily gets hijacked.
Okay.
And so I'm left then feeling even
By
more.
other people's needs?
Yes.
Okay. By other people's
and
needs?
other people's needs, and just general things that, come up, and other, other demands that we've got on our life as well. So I think there's an element of me kind of having to be a bit realistic as well, sort of, house renovations, for example, again, just take up so much time and energy, don't they?
They
And,
really do.
fitting that in and fitting in relationships. And
Okay.
so, yeah, I always feel as if it's just a constant juggling. And then before you know it, the weekend goes really fast.
Yeah. What about a 4-day week at work?
So I've really, really wanted this. And this might be the way forward, I think, for me. There's an opportunity. If I was successful in getting a post in the new restructure, that could be a possibility. I'd be quite happy, and that would be doable to drop, a 4-day week.
Can I make a suggestion that you make your day off a Wednesday? And I'll tell you why. Because if you make it a Friday, it will just eat into your weekend. You'll think, oh well, it's the weekend now.
Yes.
Whereas, so again, just this is only an example from my life, because I'm giving you an example from my life because it's so relevant. I did the Faber and Faber novel writing course. We met every Wednesday in London in the evening, on a Wednesday evening, and we did this novel writing course with Faber. Absolutely amazing thing to do. So what I decided was, this is 2 years ago now. I said, right, I'm clearing my diary of Wednesdays. So Wednesdays became my writing day. So I would travel up to London, write on the train, find cafes or the British Museum or the British Library or wherever to write in. Then I go to my course in the evening. It was back to work on Thursday, and then I gave myself some Friday morning. I think because I work for myself, it was a bit easier. I gave myself a Friday morning to do some writing as well. But that happened less often than the Wednesday writing, because it was like, oh, it's Friday, So Fridays, if you take a Friday off as your day, it can often just get absorbed into the weekend. So yeah, when I was going up to London on Wednesdays to write, Wednesdays, I found I wrote more on the Wednesdays than I did on the Fridays, that sort of were very much like, oh well, it's nearly the weekend. So you may find, I mean, it's whatever's going to work for you, but Fridays can be dangerous if you take them off, because they can get absorbed into that weekend. Whereas if Wednesday is your day, your day off, that still very much feels like a work day. So that could be the day where you sit in your car and write, or find a coffee shop, or go to a local library, or whatever and write, but get out of the house and write.
No, that makes real sense. Yes, that makes sense, because I could see if I did Friday or Monday,
Yeah.
yes, that wouldn't be that conducive. Yeah, that would be a good thing to do, because I do feel as well, I'm always battling myself, that it always feels like an uphill battle, and I don't want it to feel like that. I want it to be something that gives me joy,
Yeah,
and it's a really nice escape for
of
myself.
course.
I don't want it to be burdensome, or a chore. And I kind of think, when I allocate a couple of hours in the evening, I am
Mm.
tired. It's just, sometimes that's not the best time in the evening for me.
Mm.
There might be, but I think a dedicated day.
A writing day. And that's the day if someone says to you, can you take me to the hospital, or can you walk my dogs for me, or I need a long chat, you'll have to say to them, that's my writing day. I can see you after work on, I can see you
Mm.
after work, but you would have to respect that day, as you would have to respect that day like it was a day that you were being paid by your local authority. And then other people will respect it
Yes,
too. If you don't respect it, it will get eaten up.
yes,
Does that make
yeah,
sense? So it's on you. So boundaries. The one thing I've learned about boundaries is they're hard, not because they're hard on other people, they're hard on us because we have to hold them. We have to be the ones saying no and risking that disappointment, feeling like we're disappointing other people. We're the ones who have
yeah,
to say no and think, oh God, people might think I'm selfish. But if it's your writing day because you've decided that you want to write your novel, then that is, you've got to think, I'm paying myself for this day. This is the day I'm not earning bloody money. I need to get this book written because I want to get it published.
yeah,
And again, that on a Wednesday, it's easier because people just assume you're working. On a Friday, lots of people are off on Friday. So again, that's just a little hack. It doesn't have to be that way, but you you could absolutely take a day for yourself and hold it sacred. By the way, you're probably not going to be able to write for 8 hours. It's a long time. So you may find that you write. What's your normal getting up and starting work time?
Oh, I've got a little dog, so I start my day quite early. I'm
Yeah.
out at 7 o'clock walking my dog, and I do, I get into the day. I do allow myself like a couple of hours. I mean, I'm better off early morning, rather than later on in the day.
People tend to, uh, again, I'm generalising, but it's unusual to be able to write for more than 6 hours a day in a chunk. So you could do 8 till 2, for example, or 8 till 1 writing. And then, Wednesday afternoons, imagine, you could like get some of the stuff done you do at weekends, so that then weekends there might be a bit of time to, chill or see a movie or hang out with your friends or sleep, have a nap. Or do you know what I mean? Or
I like when you said about the paying. I'm paying for this day, because that, I think, for me would be good motivation as well. Just keeping that at the forefront, and keep reminding myself that actually it's an investment.
massive. If you're winning competitions, I mean, I've been, like I say, knocking around this novel writing world for a couple of years now, so I know a little bit about it. If you are winning competitions, you are a really good writer, because most of us don't win competitions.
Well, again, and I will just always revert to that. I mean, it was just one competition. I mean, and I probably have. I'm very humble about that, really. I don't ever, no, I don't, that doesn't sit well with me, about taking on, that's another one, taking on sort of like praise, because I still don't believe that. Yeah. So I think there is a real kind of confidence there.
there is a confidence thing there. And of course, the way to build confidence is to do the thing more, do more of the thing that you're afraid of. And, but the reality is that if you are bad at writing, you don't win a competition. That bit we can both agree on, right? No one who's terrible at writing wins a competition. And I would say that if I was thinking in terms of like investing in investment in your future, and say if we looked at this as a business opportunity, an investor is far more likely to invest their money in someone who has won a competition for their writing than someone who hasn't. I know we don't get investors for writing, but if you just bear with the analogy, for a bit, for you talked about an investment in your future. This is not some pie in the sky crazy idea you've had that you might be able to be a writer. You can write because you've won a competition. So it's a really decent investment of your time in your future. Because imagine you might be able to retire from, your current role whenever you decide to do that, and work, have a second career as a writer. How amazing would that be?
Fantastic.
Wouldn't that be
That would be amazing.
And, you may then do a little community arts project. You may do a little community arts project where you help other young children and young people learn to write, do writing skills. You might not. You might love writing so much that you just write full time. You do your 5 hours a day and then you go and walk your dog. You have long, 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 long dog walks in beautiful countryside and you cook a lovely meal and, and chill of an evening. Who knows what your life's going to look like in the future? But let me tell you, your future life is calling you to something new. So we've got to find some time now to practice what that future is going to look like. When will you know about the new job?
Sort of like 6 to 8 weeks.
You'll know by the end of July whether you can do a 4-day week or not?
Yes.
Okay. And could you apply for that in your current role if you needed to? Or is your current role definitely going?
It's definitely going.
Right. Okay.
So it would have to be, yeah. I think that would be something that would come with the going for the new role.
New job. Okay. But the public sector tends to be pretty good on the work-life balancing and allowing people to work flexibly if needs be, don't they?
I'm holding out that it could be a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So next steps with this then. What are you going to take away from today's conversation and what actions are you going to take?
I think what I'm taking away is my relationship with writing that I currently have, about how I've previously seen it as quite indulgent, and I need to maybe just get over that mindset, because I know that it's something that I do need to really focus on, just to sort of just have that sense of fulfillment for myself that I've just gone for it. I haven't any big aspiration about making it as a full-time career or getting published. I think for me, it is just literally getting something out there that I would be really, really proud of myself for finishing.
Yeah, I love that.
To do it. So I think it is more of about my mindset, about shifting my mindset from adopting that, the fact that writing is solitary and I shouldn't feel guilty about the time that I'm spending doing that. And it's interesting because what was resonating as you were talking about that, and you asked me, I think at the beginning, what I'm writing on, and I come up with lots and lots of different ideas. I probably spent more time figuring out the toolkit resource for work, for maybe young adults with ADHD, all of that. And I kind of think, if I'd have really wanted to have done it, if I really wanted to do, I would have done it by now. I wouldn't be, whereas I think I've probably just split my mind, split my focus on thinking that's what I should be doing rather than that's what I want to be doing. And if I'm really honest about that, that would be my novel idea, just for the sake of me doing it.
You know
with
what?
no outcome.
Shoulds are shit. And Tony Robbins, like, who's like, you know, I love him, great coach. He's the reason I became a coach. He always says, stop shoulding all over yourself. Like, shoulds are, yeah, shoulds are so heavy. And it's just this, like this, you know, this overworking mindset of I've got to be producing stuff for other people all the time because then I'm valuable. It is more than all right to do stuff for yourself, to just write because you want to write. And I mean, you know, Shakespeare spent a lot of time on his own. Dickens did. Toni Morrison, you know, Marianne Keyes, they're all spending plenty of time on their own writing. And guess what? We all get to enjoy it. No one's saying to them, well, you shouldn't be, that's a selfish thing to do.
Yeah.
It's time, Sarah, it's time.
Yeah, it is.
So your next steps will be to apply, so work on the mindset, how you think about you as a writer. And,
Yeah.
you know, that need to be producing stuff for other people all the time.
Yes, and I think if I just let go of that, and just even, you know, factoring in at this moment in time, just sort of like an hour in the morning that I know that is my best time.
Lovely.
For me.
Love that.
You know, to do that in the morning.
Great. And have some
and
writing.
Like you say, just make
writing.
that make that slow plan.
That's sacred. And then, hopefully apply for these jobs with the understanding that they'd be a 4-day week. And then give yourself a day a week for you where you write. That is very exciting. That's very exciting. I look forward to seeing your novel published. Seriously, wouldn't that be amazing?
Jo. No, that's, you know, it's been really nice actually, because you have really instilled a lot of confidence there.
Good, that's my job.
If you are struggling to give yourself time for creative projects, here's what I'd suggest. Number 1, put creative time in your diary. Tell your family what you're doing and guard that time as if you would guard a small baby. Number 2, do business with the part of your brain telling you that you're wasting time. You are a human being, not a human doing. 3, be accountable to someone for your creative progress. Get a mentor or join a creative group, for example. 4, enjoy the process, and remember this is far more about enjoying the experience of being creative than it is about the output. And 5, if you need to, take a class to improve your skills and your confidence.